Okay, think about this. American manufacturing seems to be making a comeback, a big one.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We're seeing, massive investment, trillions of dollars.
Yeah, companies like Apple, TSMC, NVIDIA, Honda,
Yeah.
they're all pouring money in.
And that TSMC deal in Arizona, that's huge. The biggest foreign direct investment in U.S. history, apparently. Multiple facilities, too.
Right. So you listening in have probably heard about this boom, but there's a catch, a potential bottleneck we really need to talk about.
The skills gap. It's the big elephant in the room, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can build the factories, but who's going to run the machines?
Exactly. Which brings us to this new initiative from EON Reality, a $6.5 million grant program.
Ah, the EON AI for Manufacturing Renaissance Grant Program. Quite a name.
It is, and it's specifically aimed at this skills gap problem. So our mission today, for everyone tuning in, is to really unpack this.
Yeah, how does it actually work? How does this AI-powered tech plan to bridge that gap?
And what could it mean, for the industry, for the country, maybe even give you some new ideas?
Well, the urgency is definitely there. The numbers are pretty sobering.
Like what? What are we looking at?
Projections show over 2 million manufacturing jobs could go unfilled by 2030.
2 million? Wow, that's not just a gap, that's a chasm.
It really is, and it seriously threatens to slow down this whole manufacturing renaissance.
And it's not just any jobs, right? It's about the right skills for today's tech. I saw a stat. 63% of employers, they see skills gaps as the main barrier to digital transformation.
Exactly. The tech's advancing so fast. AI, big data, and traditional training methods, well, they often struggle to keep up.
Yeah, the old classroom model just isn't cutting it for this pace of change.
Dan Lajersgar, EON Reality's chairman, basically said this is a make-or-break moment. We need the skilled workforce or we miss the boat.
So this grant program is their answer, and it leans heavily on this spatial AI technology.
Right, spatial AI. Think of it like AI that operates within these virtual and augmented reality spaces. It's designed to speed up learning dramatically.
Okay, interesting. So tell me about their cutting-edge technology suite. What's in the box?
Well, there's the EON and XR platform. That's the core VRR learning environment, assisted by AI.
Okay.
Then the EON AI platform itself, providing that personalized guidance using the spatial AI. They also have EON Merged XR for blended reality, and EON Train AI, which adapts training to individual learning styles.
Personalization seems key then.
Definitely. And maybe the most interesting bit, text-to-XR technology.
Text to XR, what's that?
Basically, AI that can supposedly create these immersive XR training courses almost instantly, just from text documents.
Whoa, that could completely change how fast companies update training.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
A huge time saver. And they claim some pretty dramatic results from all this.
Like what kind of results?
Like 70–90% knowledge retention using their methods compared to maybe 20–30% traditionally.
That's a massive jump.
And they also talk about cutting training time by 40–60%. Significant savings if it pans out.
It really highlights how different immersive active learning can be. So how does it work in practice? They have this framework, right? Learn, train, perform.
Exactly. It's a 3-stage process. First is learn.
Okay, what happens there?
That's about building the knowledge base. Using those immersive 3D environments, like exploring complex machinery in VR, instead of just looking at diagrams.
Makes sense, more intuitive. Then comes train.
Right. This is where you practice. You develop the actual skills, hard and soft, in a safe virtual space. No real-world consequences if you mess up.
Ah, risk-free practice.
Yeah.
Crucial. And the last step, perform.
That bridges to the real world using augmented reality. Think AR glasses overlaying instructions or schematics onto the actual equipment while you work.
So guidance right there on the job seems very practical.
Yeah, it's designed for that smooth transition from learning theory to actually doing the job effectively.
Now, this grant is also tied into their AI for Income Academy. How does that fit in?
It adds another layer. It brings in tools like the EON Career Compass.
Which does what?
Uses AI to analyze skills gaps and suggest career paths. Then there's an entrepreneur guide to help foster new businesses.
Oh, interesting. So not just training, but career building too.
Exactly. And even a tool called Vibe Coder for AI-powered app development, maybe creating manufacturing-specific solutions. It broadens the scope beyond just immediate job training.
Got it. Okay, let's talk specifics of the grant. $6.55 million value. What do institutions actually get?
It's quite a package. Perpetual licenses for up to 5,000 students and 750 internships.
Perpetual. That's big. No recurring fees.
They say no recurring fees, just a one-time grant guarantee fee, which can apparently be quite low, like under 5%. That makes it more accessible long term.
That does sound attractive. What about applying? Is it complicated?
Seems pretty straightforward. No fee to apply, a 10-day review, then a 14-day validity if approved. The deadline is April 30th, 2025.
Okay. And who's eligible? Can anyone apply?
It's currently invitation-based, targeted at institutions that fit their strategic focus. Things like human-machine collaboration, manufacturing innovation, workforce development, industry integration. So think community colleges, tech schools, universities, workforce boards.
Places already working in this space.
Exactly. And they don't just hand over the software. There's a lot of support.
Like what kind of support?
A dedicated implementation manager, a tech deployment team, training for faculty, help developing content, even a community for sharing best practices.
That sounds comprehensive. They seem serious about making it work.
Yeah, that level of support is often critical for actually adopting new tech successfully.
Okay, let's pivot to outcomes. What are the potential benefits here? For the schools first.
For academic institutions, they're talking potentially really high job placement rates, like 92%. Big enrollment increases in manufacturing programs, maybe 65%.
Wow.
Plus, that faster training time we mentioned, maybe $1 to Membertia plus in platform donations via industry links, and creating innovation hubs. Mats W. Johansson from EON really stressed the educational impact.
Significant gains. And for the manufacturers hiring these graduates.
Big potential wins there, too. Maybe 60% faster training, huge error reductions, like 82% less, getting new facilities running faster, maybe by 3.5 months.
Faster ramp-up is huge.
And critically, capturing knowledge from retiring experts before it's lost. That's invaluable.
Definitely. What about the wider community impact?
Well, potentially lower unemployment, higher household incomes from better jobs, maybe even reversing population decline in some areas, new business creation, a stronger tax base. You could be an engine for local growth.
A real ripple effect. And finally, for the individual learner, what's in it for them?
Better starting salaries, clearer career paths, higher retention, more income potential, especially for career changers.
Yeah.
And ultimately more career resilience because they have adaptable, modern skills.
Sounds like a win across the board if it works as planned. Any keys to making sure it does work? Successful implementation tips?
Yeah, they highlighted a few things. Strong leadership support is crucial. Starting small and scaling up a phased deployment.
Makes sense.
Getting faculty excited and involve those champions. Working closely with industry so the training stays relevant.
Right. Industry co-creation.
And measuring results. Using data to see what's working and improve.
All sounds logical. So if an institution is listening and interested, where do they go?
Best bet is the website, www.eonreality.com. Keep manufacturing-renaissance. All the details, eligibility, application info is there. Remember that April 30th, 2025 deadline.
Okay, great. So www.eonreality.com, manufacturing renaissance for any community colleges, tech schools, universities listening.
Exactly.
All right, so wrapping this up for our listeners, this EON Reality Initiative, it really does look like a serious, innovative attempt to tackle that huge skills gap we talked about.
Yeah, the focus on spatial AI, the comprehensive support. It feels like a potentially powerful approach for the manufacturing comeback.
It really does. And it makes you think, doesn't it?
About what?
Well, this final thought for everyone listening, if this AI-driven training model really takes off in manufacturing, what other sectors could use something similar?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, healthcare, energy, construction. So many industries face skills challenges.
Right. What new possibilities could this unlock? For individuals, for the whole economy, something to definitely chew on.
Absolutely. A lot of potential there.
And hey, if you want to explore this more, EON Reality actually has its own podcast and a spoken blog with more info.
Good resources to check out.
Definitely. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive today.
My pleasure. Fascinating topic.